What's going on?
Hey Trev, you're you're looking a bit sideways.
Yeah, here on a second. I did this and then there we go.
How are you, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. What time of the evening is it over there?
It's 2 o'clock. It's crazy because right now with I don't know, daylight savings time or whatever, it gets dark at like 4:30, man. I
Yeah,
can't stand it.
in LA.
It's I much prefer it to get dark around 8, man, because it just seems it's not enough light. And even though, got the red hair and the pink face, man, I do like the sunlight to be out a little bit more.
You need to head down this way.
Dude, I miss Australia like no one's biz, man. I used to go there for about almost 3 years. I'd go there almost every quarter because I toured with an Australian producer DJ named What's So Not, and we'd play every quarter. Like we did Laneway Festival, we did just so many things, man, and played the Horton Pavilion in Sydney, the Forum, just a ton of stuff. I would live there for like because we would only do shows on the weekends. So I just lived there for a month
Yeah,
and or a month plus. Felt in love with Australia and the people. And obviously it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. Not just obviously the scenery and the beaches, but the people, man, just most beautiful people over there and inside and out. So I can't wait to go back.
yeah. I didn't I didn't know about the What's So Not connection.
Yeah. I toured with him. He's actually a groomsman in my wedding. I'm getting married this weekend.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for catching up. I know time is tight.
Yeah. So Chris, what's not? He's a groomsman. He had Maddie when Maddie and I first started dating too. I went out there and we were doing the Laneway Festival, and she was really upset. She was just bummed because we were like attached at the hip, and I was gonna be gone for a month, and Chris is like, "Hey man, why don't you bring Madison out?" And I was like, "I didn't know that was even possible." And he says, "Why not?" And I was like, "Because it was such a family experience with Chris. His family, actually, his parents are flying out for the wedding too because would stay at their place. Like, just the Emerson family are just such beautiful people. So, he was such a big part of these incredible experiences, not only for my own life, a lot of bucket list checks with Chris, but being such a big part of our relationship, Maddie and I's relationship, because we just experienced so many legendary memories all together. So.
Yeah. So what's the plan for the weekend? Is it a big wedding or?
Yeah, 200 people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, funny enough, it's like I actually wish there were more because there's some people that didn't make the cut that still mean a lot so much to me. It's just really tough, man. It's expensive and I'm not, throwing it obviously. So I really don't have hey, can we add 50 more people? It's like so expensive plate, it's like all I care about, to be honest, man, is just marrying Madison. I would have done it at City Hall. I would have done it just us. I'm just happy to be getting married, man.
Yeah. Well, the reason we're talking is because of your music, obviously. You've got a new solo single coming out called You Wish,
Yeah.
out on December 9 from an upcoming album, which will come out next year.
Yeah.
Uh, we can't talk about this song without discussing the background. Yeah. Can you give us a brief rundown of your former band, Lavara, what happened, and how those feelings ended up in this song?
Oh man, it's funny to look back on it now, man. Because this obviously I recorded the song. It was the first song recorded for the record. It this whole album is like my diary for the last year and a half. It's what got me through such brutal times. And so yeah, my background is I had a band called Lavara. We were signed. We had a lot of great things in the works. Made a killer record, and obviously we mastered it right in February 2020, right before the lockdown. And then we just, there was already tension within the band anyway, and then when you add in time of not doing what we do and what made us like, even if we had friction with each other, we knew that when we'd play or create something that this is why we're doing it. Well, not being able to do much, and just tensions built, and you know, friction within the other, you know, the guys built and built, and then they decided to you know, give me a Dear John letter. I got an email, and they said that, you know, they're kicking me out or moving on without me and all stuff, which was, you know, it was it took me, it gutted me, man. It absolutely was one of the most brutal experiences, and it was 3 years of our lives, you know, really, you know, slumming it, doing all, like, you know, van tour. Then we got a little bit of a, you know, mini bus. We just worked our way up. We really worked hard on where we got, where we were at, and we had still so much more work to go. And for those guys to make such just a huge decision without really talking to the label, who already invested a lot of money, the management, the agents, like, they kind of made this decision without talking to anybody. And and sorry about that. So they, you know, they made a huge decision, and that obviously affected the future of the band. We you know, they got dropped from everybody. It was just it was a really sad situation, but I was really angry. I was really angry. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do with this anger and this angst? And, you know, I'm not Mike Tyson, so I decided to pick up a guitar and start recording. And man, you know, when it was announced that when I announced that what happened, because this happened about 6 weeks before the album came out. So I had to kind of just take it on the chin. And, you know, I didn't want to ruin the album release by, you know, announcing anything too soon. I didn't want to do it to Ed, the president of Mascot, who signed us. You know, I had a lot of respect for Ed, and I didn't want to do anything to mess it up. So I waited till after, and I just had an overwhelming amount of support from everybody, and it really was incredible. And so a lot of my incredible musician friends reached out and said, well, bro, what are we doing? Like, we got to do something together. Like, what's next? And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start doing something now. And I took that and I started building some tracks. And You Wish was the first one that I built. And I got Steve Majora, who's now in Toto. He's on keys and background vocals. I got Christian Attard from Sugar Ray and Heart. He's on bass. Jake Hayden, who plays drums in Dorothy and Missing Persons. He's on drums. Yeah, man. I mean, and 504 horns, and I finally got a real horn section on the record. Just, it was so cool. And then it just was such a great experience. But the lyrics, obviously, I call it the self-love angst anthem. You know, it's tongue-in-cheek lyrics. It's, you know, also feeling so betrayed by people. And I say to anyone listening, is like, you know, when you get betrayed, or you get hurt by people, or they want to insult you, they want to pick on you, they want to do all these things, it's not about you. A lot of people tend to take it personally. What's wrong with me? If you go to like a party or something, and some people are being mean to you, they make you feel left out or something, what's wrong with me? It's not, there's nothing wrong with you. It's what's wrong with them. So it's that kind of like tongue-in-cheek lyric of that. But definitely I felt that with the angst of that band, and it really, you know, a lot of weight on the shoulders, a lot of tense vibes. And so when you're away from that and you're going on to like, okay, I'm going to make my record, and that kind of, you know, being let go, setting free of that feeling, that kind of all came out. But yeah, you know, it was definitely fresh emotions, you know.
There's some big production on the single. Is that indicative of the other stuff you've recorded?
Yes. It's actually set up. That song really set the tone of what sound I wanted to go for. And because I really love Peter Gabriel. I love the So album. I mean, it's one of the greatest records of all time. And I love his, you know, I love those songs that have the horn section, the funk feel, the groove, and the lyrics are also, once again, tongue-in-cheek lyrics. But also there's emotional parts of it. 'Cause there's some songs that are like balladish songs, that like the In Your Eyes and the more vibey tunes. So I have a few of those, but definitely I was like, I want to channel like some Prince. I want to channel some Peter Gabriel. really just went for it, man. I love that there was really no like there was no holding back on anything. Let's just go. Like, and anyone that I called for the record, I was like, be you. Don't hold back. Let's just do whatever, like whatever anyone's feeling when they're hearing the demo of what we were building. And it just kind of took a life of its own.
Yeah. So in general, what's the starting point for a Trev Lukather song?
So the starting point is I kind of just tend to kind of put a drum loop down, and then I pick up a guitar and I start just riffing away. I mean, I really don't force any writing sessions, man, or just like I don't force it. I have to, there is just this weird feeling that comes in the atmosphere that I'm like, oh, something's gonna come out. Like I gotta pick up a guitar, and it always would happen when an event happened in my life through the last year and a half. That's why it took so long to make the record. Was I was producing. I've been producing nonstop for other people, but when something really struck me emotionally, and I was really feeling some serious, I need to get this out. I picked up a guitar and it just flowed out, man. Like every song just like flowed out. So I kind of had an idea of what I wanted off the bat. So I would feel like a certain tempo loop, and I'm like, okay, this works. Structure it out, then start building some fake drums and stuff, and then as soon as I got the guitar and some synth bass in there, I go track the drums mainly with my buddy Jake Hayden. Even though I do have Abel Boreal Jr., who plays Paul McCartney and everyone and their mother, he played on 2 songs in the album, which was such an honor. But I would build it up enough for us to be able to really build from there. Because when you have the real drums on there, then everything's kind of like, okay, now let's really get to building it. So so that was kind of how it would go down. Is that basically me feeling it, putting a drum loop down, structuring out the song, getting the drums down, then and it was really fun to build the drums because I really wanted to have those moments of tight musician riffs, like really having those like locked in licks with the drums. And so that was the fun part of building the actual real drums.
Yeah. The music is being released independently. How are you finding that?
With the team that I have, it was such a back and forth feeling of, do we go with the label? Do we really, search for the right home right now? You know, it's really tough, obviously, in the world of TikTok and all that stuff where, people want to have all these millions of hits and viral before you even think about a label. The times are they've changed, man. So it's not about how great your record is or whatever. It's about what your content is, and for me, I just cared so much about this record is that I didn't really want it to be tampered with at the end of the day. And with the team that I have around me, who's been a part of the biggest streaming sites and companies and the biggest labels, the connections that we have on our own to get some serious traction is what we wanted. We wanted the freedom to be able to release when we want to release. And, if a label comes in down the line and they seem like the right fit and we can do some cool shit, great. Nowadays it's not like what it used to be where it's like, oh, you need a label, it's not like that anymore. So I love the challenge of kind of just having that freedom and seeing where it goes. I've been on labels, I've had record deals before, and to be honest, I was never happy with a label either. So it's just like, I always like to take matters into my own hands. I like to make things happen. I like to have a little bit of like, okay, it's up to me to get this out. It's up to me to get it known. It's up to me to do this because I'm the only one that's going to care more about it than anyone else because it's a part of me. So it's hard to find people, to understand that love and connection that you have. So it's hard to give that up too. So I produced, I wrote it, I paid for the record myself. It was just one of those things that this is my true, every bit of part of me, man. And so I want to have at least the beginning of having that creative control of doing what we want to do at the time, me and my team, for us to release when we want to release. I have incredible people that I work with for like content stuff, videos, the covers, the artwork. My cousin Jake Hayes, he's genius. He does the artwork. So I just have a cool team. I mean, I'm kind of in-house anyway. So we'll see where it goes, man. I like the unknown. I like just kind of doing this on our own and the unknown. So
Let's talk guitars. What guitars did you use on this album?
I used Music Man all the way through, man. I got a little taste of everything. I'm obviously a massive St. Vincent lover as the guitars. I respect her as an artist, but her guitar to me just connected the feel of it, the sound of it. So that's my main squeeze, but I used the Armada for a little thicker tone stuff. I have the Cutlass, which is very Fender. You get that Fender Strat sound. And I played out of a Bogner amp, Shiva, and I loved messing around with the Pog pedals and the whammy pedals and delay pedals and stuff. And I also create a lot of sounds within my system as well. I also used a little bit of the Helix, and so I just did a lot of experimenting.
If you didn't use the Luke 3?
No, 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 no. It's that guitar is bad fucking ass. It's so funny that like how just dad's guitar it's so funny. When I go to his house, I'll pick it up and I will just I'll be like, this feels incredible, but it doesn't connect to me. And that's cool. Like, I like the fact that I'm not just trying to, I'm playing my dad's guitars too. Back in the day, um, back in the day, his first Luke model, I actually have a few behind me that, I'm so sorry. This person keeps calling me. So back in the day, dad's old guitar Luke, like for my 13th birthday, my dad made me a Trev model of it. So it's on the headstock instead of Luke, it said Trev. And I was like so blown away. And that was the coolest gift I ever got. And then, obviously the Ball family are just so their second family. So they've been so supportive of me and they believe in me. And so they started making more Trevs. And then obviously I caught on to the St. Vincent, and the goal is down the line. I've talked to Brian Ball, is when I get fabulous enough, man, that cool enough to be able to get build my own thing. I really can't wait to build my own guitar and the look of it and the everything about it,
Yeah. The NAMM show's coming up in April. Are you attending, and are you a gear junkie?
Man, I haven't really thought about NAMM yet. It's so weird that it's confusing now to me because I'm so used to NAMM being January. So now hearing that it's in April, and what an interesting time to do that, because April's such a busy month for musicians doing the spring tours and stuff. So for like artists to go support their companies, that's an interesting time for them to do it. If I'm there, if I'm here, I'm going for sure. And am I a gear junkie? Man, as a producer, I'm getting more into the plugin. I'm becoming more of a plugin nerd than I am like gear nerd. Funny enough, man, is I like to experiment with things and see if they sound great. I'm very simple, man. I'm not like super picky. So like that never led to me being a super kind of gear nerd guy. A lot of people, sometimes I'll talk to someone and they'll like say some lingo about gear, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, man, yeah, and they think that I know, they think I know what they're talking about, and it's like I never claim to know what I'm doing, because I really don't. I actually have no idea what I'm doing 100% of the time. I'm not a I'm not technical guy. I'm not a theory guy. I just am an ear guy. I've always been able to hear something and play it and pick it up. So I never got into the settings. I was so into writing songs that I wasn't more into the like doing scales all, for hours and hours at a time. I have ADD too. It's impossible for me to even think about doing that. But I also love David Gilmour. So like the guitar players that I love so much are the very simple melodic guys. So I really kind of just gravitated towards that kind of playing, which then didn't lead me to like really try to experiment too much with the shredding, so yeah.
Yeah. So with the album, I believe the plan is to release singles up until the album release.
Mm-hmm.
Will you then take the album out on the road? And if so,
Yes.
what would your band setup look like?
Well, in the world that we live in now, man, there's so much going on, obviously, on the record. Like I said, we did not hold back, but we live in a time where tracks are completely normal, playing the tracks, and how expensive it is to be on the road now. And after COVID, all of the it's just a whole other world we live in now. So in the beginning, it's just as I slowly build, man, it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be pretty simple off the bat, bass, me, keyboard player, drummer. I already have the guys in mind, and tracks, and everyone sings. So like 4-part harmonies, but a little bit of like, atmospheric guitars and other pad keys and horns on the tracks. And just kind of because I also realized this working with What's So Not. Touring What's So Not really changed my whole view of things because, growing up obviously around my dad, it's you gotta get like the 12-piece band, and like everything's got to be real. Nowadays that doesn't matter anymore. When Chris and I did the What's So Not show, he was doing electronic drums and a DJ, and I was playing guitar. And the crowd, we did Lollapalooza, Bonnaroo, we did all these huge festivals, headlining it, 50,000 people losing their minds, man. And I started realizing, wait a second, as long as it sounds like the record and there's a live feel, like people really playing or performing, there's no lip syncing or no fake playing, people love it. And I feel like people want to hear the live version of what the record would be. So I'm full pro tracks. I know there's people out there that are like, fuck tracks, fake, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, listen, if everyone's playing and the show's great and it sounds like a live version of the record, people are happy, man,
Yeah. Obviously, you've been surrounded by music your whole life and always knew that your dad played guitar. At what point of your life did you realize how significant a guitar player your dad is?
Well, that was pretty soon off the bat. But I was a drummer for the beginning of my, like, from 4. Jeff Beccaro gave me a drum set at 4 as a present, and then I just kind of picked it up and started jamming it, and I was able to play to a click and play in time, and I had a good pocket. So I've said this in other interviews as well, is like, how father and son, they go play catch or something like that, like with the baseball. That wasn't dad and I. It was jamming in my room with my drums, and he'd get a guitar and start ripping with me, and that was our bonding stuff too. And um obviously we were surrounded by these incredible my sister and I were surrounded by these incredible musicians our whole lives, and coming over, and they're just a part of the family. They're like it's like how anyone's family is people just coming over, and they're your parents' best friends. They're pretty much like your aunt and uncles, and then you start realizing, wow, everyone's a musician. Wow, everyone's really fucking good. And then, because when you're super young, you don't really realize who these people are until you get older, and you're like, oh wait, they're kind of a big deal, And same thing with dad. I mean, dad really never really played a lot of or toured a lot in America when I was growing up. So it really took me to when Toto did the Minefields record with Bobby Kimball. I saw them play in LA, and dad ripped a solo on the first song, and just people were reaching out to him screaming, and I was like, I want to be that guy, man. And that was like me seeing them when he took me to Europe, that tour for Minefields. He brought me up every night to play my own guitar riff. I just started playing guitar, and hearing 20,000, like seeing how popular they were, like walking out and all of a sudden it's like Beatlemania for them, was such a trip for me, because like I never seen anything like that. And then he brought me out every night to play my own riff, and Simon and Mike Beccaro would back me up just for like 30 seconds. But then you hear that roar, that changed my life, man. That was like, oh, there's no other option in life. This is what I'm doing, So, it definitely, I was always inspired by dad. Every day of my life, I was inspired by him. But really seeing him in that element was like, okay, and then he'd given me a little taste of that too. That was it, man. That was a drug. That's a drug you can't go to rehab for,
Yeah. Apart from your own music, you're involved in other projects. We've spoken about What's So Not. You've worked with Hailstorm.
Yep.
Are you working on anything else at the moment?
Yeah. So I've been working with, I produced 3 songs on Dorothy's new album, latest album that came out. I just produced an album for Andrew Hagar, who's Sammy Hagar's son. Made a killer record with him. I just started working with a band called Classless Act. They opened for Def Leppard and Motley Crue on the stadium tour here. Unbelievable band, like such great dudes. Derek Day, the singer, is just, I think, one of the best frontmen to be coming out in a long time, and also just zero fabulousness. Like literally the sweetest guy I've ever met. And I'm like, and he just actually went and sang at the Taylor Hawkins benefit, with Motley Crue. He's just the sweetest dude. So we've been working together. I just literally yesterday worked with Blind Channel. It's a band. They're really starting to come up. What else, man? I mean, it's been a lot. I've worked with, I'm trying to think. It's like been it's been a really like nonstop for this. Amber Van Day. She's a great UK. She's on Island UK. She's a great, unbelievable songwriter, and she's a great singer. I just finished 2 songs with her, her first 2 singles for her album coming out next year. I just produced a song for my dad's new album too. I did 1 song with him. I co-wrote and produced it. What else? This girl Salem, she's upcoming. She's 16 years old. She's like, Avril Lavigne meets Olivia Rodrigo, but she shreds. So everything I've been working all this, everything's coming out next year. It's all just like been piling up EPs and albums, and it's just all going to be hitting next year. So it's going to be, because it's really tough when you're doing all this work. You're like, man, no one's heard this shit. It's kind of like me on my album. It got to a point where I had no patience anymore of like shopping it around. It was like, let's just put it out there. Because I'm working so much also with production. It's like, I don't care about those kind of things. I want the world to hear. I want the world to connect to it. And I'm such a creative person that just the music is going to continuously flow. So I'm going to keep releasing. And whatever happens, happens. No expectations. That's the best thing, is like, when you have no expectations, there's only one way to go, up,
Yeah. So when do you hope to have the album out?
Early summer. I was actually kind of thinking that I'd release it around my birthday. May the 4th be with you. That's my birthday. So I was thinking that would be kind of a cool little birthday present to myself, is releasing the whole album and doing kind of like maybe a little live birthday party or something like that, and having everyone just be a part of it. This whole album making has been such a family love oriented experience. So I want the listeners and the people that listen to it to have that same experience that we felt making it. And I want everyone to be as involved as possible. And that's what's so cool, man, is I really have just such a great group of supporters. And I feel like with them and everything, you can't go wrong, and we already have some really great talks regarding touring and playing. And that's also why I didn't want to wait too much longer trying to shop the record or anything too, because the more time you wait, the less time, like the less likely I'll be able to go and work it, because everything's so over people are still catching up from the time lost. So I feel like a part of me has died because I've not been on the road or playing. In February, it will be 3 years since I've played a show. And that is so unlike me, obviously, because I toured nonstop for years before the pandemic. I mean, literally I had the band, and then I had What's or Not back to back constantly. And it's like now going from that to like production, and I got thrown into that world. And when that world kind of happened, because everything was so shut down, I kept getting calls. And when you kind of just follow that, where that universe is taking you. And then I was making my own record on the free time that and all the gigs that were offered to me, if like an artist hit me up to play with them on a tour, it just wouldn't, like, things, scheduling conflicts. And also, crazy enough, man, it's just like I'd be making a better living staying home than going on the road and being gone from my fiance, almost wife, in a few days. And it just, nothing's really made that happen. So I feel like the only way I'm gonna make it happen is if I do it myself and do it with my music. And I feel like while I'm still young, I gotta do it, man. I gotta go full throttle. It's my first solo album,
Yeah. Well, Trev, it's been great to chat, and we look forward to more music from the album, and indeed the album when it comes out. And thanks for joining us.
Greg, it means the world, man. Your support's everything, bro. Thank you so much.